Well, hello, my sexy, wonderful audience. Okay, so today I've been doing a lot of kink and BDSM and sex and all that stuff, which is awesome and fun. But every once in a while, we need to have some other conversations. So to support having my orgasmic life and the life that I lead that is filled with all sorts of fabulousness and of course lots of orgasms, we need to talk about healing. So today's episode is, I'm sure I'll be entertaining in some capacity, but probably won't be as sexy as I usually am. We're going to talk about body image. And so I decided to show up just before I go for a workout. So that is au naturel, that I don't have any makeup on. I haven't, had my shower, got my workout gear on, you know. So I'm like au naturel as much as I can be on camera for all my audience that watch. Everybody who's listening, you can picture me naked if it makes you feel better. All right. Well, maybe I will be entertaining. Okay. So today we're going to talk about body image and how body image plays out a huge part in our sexual expression, our sexuality, how we move in the world. And, over the years, I'm sure I've had conversations about, body image issues and things like that in past episodes. I don't know which exact episodes those are. Like I said, I just showed up this morning. So let's take it from the top. All right. So most of my life, I have found myself very beautiful, very sexy, and haven't struggled uh, on a daily basis with body image issues. I just need to take a moment to like acknowledge that piece, okay? Because there's different layers in which how we feel about ourselves affects our confidence, affects our ability to be in the world. Like it has a lot of bearing. And so there's been periods of my life where I've been very much struggling with body image. And actually, right now is one of those times as I have gained some weight while I've been sick over the last 6 months. And, you know, instead of losing weight, which I should have been doing because I spent all this time puking, my body decided to go the opposite way as if it was in starvation mode and basically make me blow up and I'm all weighty and bloaty and all things. So this is why I actually wanted to have a conversation about body image because right now I'm struggling a little bit with it and it's important to, I promise you guys and, I promised you that I would always show up real, raw, and truthful. So because of being sick, I have gained a significant amount of weight. My body doesn't feel, good on top of the health stuff, but now I'm getting better. So we found some reasons and that's all great. Okay. However, it's probably going to take probably months and months and months of me getting back into my workout regime and my body trusting that it gets enough food and it's not in starvation mode. And so I can release all of the storing all the things in case it needs it. And so for the next probably 4 to 6 months, I'm going to be sitting in this fluidity and fluctuation of weight. And weight is one of those things that we have grown up in the society, anyways, in our North American society that says, if you are not skinny, you are not beautiful. And there's all these unrealistic beauty markers that most people can't meet. Even the people who are in the model industry, they get airbrushed. So there's a lot of misrepresentation of the image of what is beauty. And so even if you are, what society typically you come close to being typical of what our, this this at this time is considered beautiful, you still probably, if you don't have that body shape or type, even if you're close to it, it won't be perfect, because as humans we have all these beautiful stretch marks and flaws, and as we get older things start to go south, and we start to, if we've lived a really good life, we'll have wrinkles. Some of those might be laugh lines, some of those might be angry lines. Our bodies change. They're not as they're not as tight, they're not as shiny. They were no longer a shiny new car, right? And so things start to shift and change. And when those shifting and changing happens, and yet what we watch and see, in our, on television, on social media, on all things, what we're seeing is through filters. So even if you're close to it, you're still not close to it, because you have to have your filters on. So what that does is says, whether on a conscious or subconscious level for people, is it says you are not beautiful, you are not sexy if you don't look like this. And the problem is that no one looks like that. But that was created so that you're always, so this is why we have a whole industry of plastic surgery, aging creams, anti-aging products, beauty products, makeup, all that kind of stuff. We have there's a whole beauty industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, because they need us all to not feel sexy or beautiful. And unless you have the products or do the things or do your dieting or whatever it is, you're never going to achieve it. So that's kind of like the baseline. And so you used to see it happening more just with, vagina owners and those who identified as female. However, I would say over the last 10 years, significantly, maybe the last 15 years, we're starting to see how that same beauty image, that society is, unrealistic beauty image has been now affecting people with penises and people who identify as male. How about your pecs and your cut abs, and, making sure that, depending, that you're hairless, or like, you got to manscape, and like, there's all these things that also, are starting to affect men and penis owners, who are starting to see the effects of not feeling beautiful and sexy. Okay. So unfortunately, kind of some point, all of us struggle with it. And I say that all of us struggle with it because all of us struggle with it. I have spent a lot of time with some really beautiful, sexy people from a societal standpoint. And they don't love themselves either. They don't think they're beautiful. They don't think they're sexy. They have to work out harder. They got to lose more weight. They need to get plastic surgery and body modification to achieve the unrealistic standards of our beauty standards in society. And so, the more, and a lot of times what I have found is that the more external beauty from a societal standpoint people have, often, not always, but often, there's a deep self-esteem stuff going on underneath the facade of having to maintain it, what it means, all the things. And so we're all, whether you are societal version of what beauty looks like, or what the ideal weight is, or whatever, we're all struggling with these issues. And so I just wanted to bring that to this tension, because all right, so then let's drop it to the world of sex. Boom, chicka, wow, wow. Right? In the world of sex, now you're naked. Hopefully you're naked. or you're wearing some sexy clothes. And in that place, and when we are actually engaged in like primal, orgasmic, lustful, like the really good sex, not the like where you did it with the lights off and, you know, the neighborhood didn't hear you. I'm talking like fucking epic sex, screaming like a howler monkey, throwing shit around the room, like kind that, you know, you've had such a good sexual romp that you can't walk and you don't know your name. Okay. That's what we're talking about. Now, here's the thing. If you've actually really ever watched people who like are really in the throes of sex, it's not attractive. I mean, like visually, it's not attractive how we suspect it would be attractive. Okay. So you get into awkward positions, your belly does things, your boobs do things, your face makes ridiculous unflattering cum faces, and yet nobody in the throes of sex are being like, oh god, oh, what does my ass look like from that angle? Or, oh my God, my belly's hanging. Or, oh my God, my boobs are sagging. Or, like, no one is thinking about that except for the person who's struggling with it. But when you're in the throes of it, you're really not thinking about it. Because if you're thinking about those things, you're not being able to drop in, which means you're not going to be able to have this rockin' epic, like the kind of sex that's like, oh, you know, there, there's fireworks, the whole thing, right? So if you are thinking about it, it's preventing you from really dropping in because your partner's not thinking about it. Your partner's just like, oh, the sounds you make, the primalness, the lust, the sweatiness, the bodily fluids, all of it. They're thinking about how sexy and hot that is. They are not thinking about what your ass looks like right now. The only thing they're thinking about is whether it looks like it's really good to spank or grab onto or fuck. That's what they're thinking about. Bite it, like it, all these things. They are not thinking about whether or not it has a good angle or any of those things whatsoever. Okay. And I share this, you know, because we don't talk about that stuff. The other thing that I want to talk about in regard to this is okay, so, you know, I've over the years and currently have, you know, quite a few clients that struggle. Part of their one of the key things that we need to do to awaken their sexuality and to unleash the divine sexual being that they are, the primal lustful sexual being that they are, the first thing that we have to get over is this body image stuff. Because as long as you're in that, you are not present, which means you can't let go to the lust, the intensity, the pleasure, the kink, whatever it is. Okay. So the first thing is you got to release that. And it's hard to release that in a society that's constantly you're bombarded with imagery that doesn't look anything like you. So there's a couple ways over the years that has been both very helpful for me as well as very helpful for my clients. Okay. I also want to talk about a little bit before I get into the techniques that, you know, some of the things and the ways that you can start to kind of heal these pieces, is that I want to talk about. So for me, so beauty and sexy has nothing to do, by the way, with what you look like. It doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with what you wear. Those are all accessories. Beauty and sexy has everything to do with how you feel in your body. When you look in the mirror and you're like, damn, I'd fuck you. That confidence, that being comfortable in your skin, the, you know, feeling good about who you are, that is truly what creates sexy. Now, what I found that creates beauty is joy, true joy. When you meet people like that, you're like, wow, that person's so beautiful. It's because they have sparkles in their eyes. They laugh a lot. They smile a lot. There's a lightness about them. And they really have joy. They express joy. They love being alive. There's this beauty that just exudes from their being that you see. It's like when you see a beautiful sunset and it brings so much joy to your heart that you want to cry, or like, your heart wants to ejaculate with joy. I had to throw the word into ejaculation in there, of course. All right. So when you meet people that have exude that jolly, that joy, the happiness, that they love their lives, they're just expressive in it, that is what you're attracted to in the beauty department. When you meet people who aren't smiling, don't have any twinkle in their eyes, and really are not coming from a place of joy, they may be physically, by societal standards, beautiful, but you won't be attracted to them. You won't find them beautiful because they don't have the sparkle and the life of joy in their existence. That is what really expresses that joy of life and exuding through you is what gives you a glow, which gives you that sense people are attracted to it and find you beautiful. Now, the what I found is perfect cocktail, non-alcoholic, of course, because I don't drink. However, the perfect cocktail is both joy of your life and the moment and the celebration of that, and the confidence of, damn, I would fuck me. You add those two combinations of beauty and sexiness within yourself, and you are this beacon of like, everybody is attracted to you. They won't even know why they're attracted to you. And I know this, and I'm sharing this from a place of knowing. Okay. And I'm going to talk about how I figured that, how I've learned all these things and in my own life and things like that. Okay. So that's what makes sexy, that you like your body, that you feel sexy in your body. You look in the mirror, and that can be even, and you can even get there if you aren't necessarily, say for example, I have some roles right now, right? So maybe my roles, I may not find sexy, but I can put on, some other things, like I can put on some, flattering lingerie, or I can put on some lipstick, or, I can, drop into how beautiful and how sexy my body moves. And, I can drop into what it feels like when, one of my lovers are ravishing me. And also it helps to see yourself. This is a big piece of it. See yourself how others see you. And when you can drop into that, and of course, when I say others, I mean people who are not judgy. Don't see yourself like judgy people. That. But I'm talking about people who are like your lovers that can't get enough of you. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And it's a beautiful thing then, because now when I leave the house, my body weight hasn't changed, or nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is that I've decided that I am just as fucking sexy as I was, 2 dress sizes ago. And finding the sexiness in the way that my new body moves, and how it feels, and how it feels when I'm getting fucked or having sex or all the things. Okay. So that's what sexy comes from how you feel about yourself, not what you look like, but how you feel about your sexuality and yourself and, pleasure and all the things. Beauty comes from joy, how joyful you are, how expressive, how happy, how much you love your life. Now, you're not loving your life and you're not getting, having that really good sex and you're not feeling good in your body, then we need to remedy that so that that's where we can help. This is one of the things that I can support you in. If you reach out to me, we can do, embracing and awakening and, help you find and see through the eyes of the lover and all these kinds of beautiful things. So you can reach out to me and we can talk about how we can get you feeling hot and sexy and be like, when you look in the mirror, you're like, damn, yeah, I totally want to do you. And feeling joy and laughter and play throughout your life. So yeah, reach out to me. You can find me at GaiaMorissette.com. Okay, so I want to give you a little backstory of how I figured out these things. Okay, not only from working with thousands of people over my career, on helping people love their bodies and love themselves and embrace their sexiness and embrace their sexuality and awaken their primal selves. So, there's all of that expertise that goes into my knowledge base of this. But on a personal level, so growing up, I was first I was a tomboy because that's what we called girls that didn't really want to be girls and interacted and played like boys. Right. So I was a tomboy. And, and so then when I hit puberty, and I got boobs, then all of a sudden, there was like a weird thing that happened in my little, pod of playmates to all of a sudden I now wasn't alpha boy, which is usually what happened because I'm, if you know me at all, I'm pretty alpha. So any group tends to always put me at the top in decision making. That's just what happens, whether I want it or not. So as when I'm hanging out with all these boys, I became the alpha of the group. And then I got boobs, and then the boys were like, "Oh, how do we interact with you now?" So there was this like really awkward phase of my life where, I still was very much, alpha male, so to speak, in my group. But now I got boobs. So they're like, I don't know, they don't know how to interact with me. There was some, it was very heartbreaking because now they wanted to interact with me to try to figure out how to touch my boobs. I was like, no, I don't know how. So, there was some confusion in that period of time. Anyway, so I got on the other side of that and I embraced my boobs. And I was like, okay. I figured out now how to interact with the boys being a girl that has boobs that everybody wants to touch. I'm like, okay. I figured out the dynamics of that, sorted that out. And on the other side of that, then again, I very much typically I was very thin. I had nice breasts. I had a perfect hourglass figure, and I was quite beautiful. And I had a lot of beauty privilege that I need to talk about for a second because it needs to be acknowledged. That because of how attractive I was from societal standards, there were benefits that I got. I got served first when I was at the bar. Boys, went out of their way to, get my attention. There was, overall, people reacted well to me because of how beautiful I was. And so there was some significant beauty privileges that, I walked into the room and everybody paid attention. I was center of attention all the time. I could basically use my beauty privilege, which sadly I when I was young, figuring it all out, I really realized I'm like, oh my God, I have so much power with boobs. So I won't lie. I did use that to my advantage a little bit. But that was, I was young. I didn't know any better. Okay. So I had all this beautiful, like I said, beauty privilege and then when I was 25, I was in a major car accident. And I went from super fit, super sexy, super, beautiful to now I can't move. I gained like almost 90 pounds. I was in chronic pain. I wasn't physically strong. Like, I was bedridden for, I think it was 6 to 8 months. And so I lost at that period of time, I lost my beauty privilege. I walked into places and no one acknowledged me. If anything, people like averted their eyes because I'm like, what is happening here? What is happening? I've had this privilege my whole entire life and now it's gone. And I thought it was gone. I thought it was gone because I had gained weight and that I wasn't physically capable. And the truth is that that was how I felt about me. I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel sexy. I didn't feel capable anymore. My whole life was destroyed at the age of 25. Everything that I could do, I could no longer do. There was a chance that point that I was going to have to give up my career. Back then I owned a pottery studio. That I was going to have to give up being a potter and all of my dreams of, gallivanting around the world and all that kind of stuff was shattered. And when that got shattered, and I was in so much pain and I was on lots of medication, I went into a real state of, depression and not liking my body because it was the horrible place to be in because there was just nothing but injury and pain and no real hope for the future that I wasn't going to just be stoned all the time on pain medication. And so during that period of time, I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't love life. I didn't have this glorious, like, about me, this light, this sparkly, the shininess, the love of being alive. I didn't have any of that. And then physically, I also, I physically I wasn't capable of dressing in comfortable, like in sexy clothes. I basically just rolled out in my onesies and my pajamas, and overall it was like I had given up. In all fairness, there was a period where I had kind of given up because my identity of who I was died in that car accident, and I didn't know how to be this new version of myself. And I didn't like this new version. I really liked the old version of me at that point. So I did some healing, did some work, did some stuff, had to lean really hard into how do I find myself beautiful and sexy again, and with the new body. And one of the things that was very powerful for me and has been over the years and has been incredibly powerful for other clients who I've gotten to do this is I had friends of mine who were my Tantra teachers had taken a bunch of pictures of me for some of their education and with me and my partner at the time and me alone. And there was one incredibly beautiful, sexy picture of me laying on my back. And I was doing, there's a technique called in Tantra called fire breath. And so I was doing the fire breath and I was moving my hands and my breasts and I was naked and there was I was laying in the sunshine of stained glass window and the way that my hair looked, it was gorgeous. It was like, I looked like the sexiest, most divine goddess I'd ever seen. Now, so this is what happens. So they had taken lots of pictures, blah, blah, blah. And so I went for a visit and I was looking at this picture and I was like, wow, this is such a beautiful picture. Who is this? And one of my Tantra teachers was like, those are your boobs. I to you. And it was like all of a sudden, it started to change my belief system and my visual and my ideology of if I how could I find this picture so incredibly sexy and beautiful, and turns out it's me, and not be able to see that in me on a daily basis. And so that was kind of like the turning point for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So we did a bunch more photo shoots. And then for a couple of years, I had all these beautiful naked, beautiful pictures of me all throughout my house. And especially in the bathroom beside the mirrors, and wherever there was a mirror, there was definitely a beautiful, sexy picture, professional picture that was taken of me beside that mirror. And so what started to happen is that when I would look at the mirror and I would drop into, oh my God, I'm not beautiful anymore. I'm not sexy anymore. My boobs have sagged. I got stretch marks. I'm like getting fat, like all of the stuff that was running through my head. I would look at that picture and be like, but that's me. And I find myself incredibly beautiful. I find that picture so gorgeous. So how can I not see that in me? And so it started to change every time I saw these beautiful pictures of myself. It started to change the belief system of what is beautiful, what is sexy, and that I can be those things as my body is today, not what it was, but who I am today. And so that was a huge transformation for me doing that work. And it's been very powerful for many of my clients to do, using professional photography as a way to reprogram what we see as images that are beautiful. The second thing that was very helpful for me is I created these body image runes. And I think I have a couple left for sale if anybody is interested, with their clay ones. But you can make your own. So you can get a bunch of rocks and you can write and paint on those rocks all the body parts, or you can get, which is what I would recommend. My is like clay that's been carved and fired and all these things. And you put them all in a little baggie. And so then what you do is you pull out one of the body parts, and then you go to the mirror and you say 3 nice things about that body part. You're only focusing on that body part. So it's not the whole body. What you're doing is you're breaking down systematically how you can love all of your body. So you say 3 nice things about that part of your body. Now, when you try to say the 3 nice things, as I've talked lots of episodes about, how we change our critic into our cheerleader, the critic will say, no, it's not, blah, blah, blah. And all you're going to do is visualize taking that, whatever, negative, not flattering thought process you had, and you can visually flush it down a toilet, throw it into a bonfire, throw it into a volcano, throw it out the window, whatever imagery works for you with that. And you carry that rune with you all day. And every time you touch it, so you have it on your body. So every time you touch that rune, you then repeat those 3 things. And you send love to that part of your body. So what happens for me and for others is, after about doing this for, I don't know, about a year, I'd say about a year, consistently on a daily basis for about a year. One day I looked in the mirror, I was like, and I had fallen in love all over again with my curves and my stretches and my body and the way my body was. And I felt beautiful and I felt sexy and I felt happy. And what happened, I didn't change. My body didn't change, by the way. I still had all the weight that I was carrying at the time and all the things, and I'm still in pain and all the things. But because how I started to love me, then all of a sudden my beauty privilege all came back. It was like weird. It was like night and day. I was like, oh, well, I guess it's true. Beauty has nothing to do with what you physically look like. Sexiness has nothing to do with what you physically look like. It has to do with how you feel about what you look like, and how you feel in your life, and what do you express in your life. So as I was loving life, loving myself, my twinkle came back in my eyes, my sparkle, my smile, my infectious laugh, the the way that I held my head, my posture, my body. I didn't want to be invisible, so I was back in, large and in charge, and walking into the room, and all of a sudden people are looking and paying attention, and I was like, you know, people are attracted to me, people are flirting with me. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So that is when I knew, okay, all this shit that we watch and listen to in media is bullshit. What it is what how you feel about yourself. This is why you can meet somebody who's incredibly, from beauty standards, not beautiful at all, and yet, you know, you find them so incredibly attractive, because it's their shiny light that they exude, and how they feel about themselves, and how confident they are, and all the things. So that's why I wanted to share. I needed to share that with you. And then throughout the years, body getting sick and other things and incidences and blah blah blah, and different things happening. Every once in a while, I will kind of drop into, again, like I said, I'm not, I live in the society that we all live in, that it'll start to feel like I'm not feeling beautiful, I'm not feeling sexy, I'm not feeling any of these things. And so then I go do the things. Sometimes, I use my runes for a while. I'll do some mirror work. I have a bunch of tools at my disposal. I might do a new photo shoot if my body shape has radically changed, so I can embrace the new body and find the new body sexy. The other thing too that's been really helpful over the years is spending time at a nudist resort. It might seem like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing if you don't love your body. But it's not. It's actually the best thing, because at a nudist, whether it's a nudist resort or a nudist beach, you see all different ages, sizes, races, orientations, naked bodies. And these naked bodies are like real naked bodies. And you can then see how your body looks like other people's bodies. And what that does is it changes, again, the beauty belief systems that we're programmed to believe. If the only time you ever see other people naked is in a sexual situation, or in porn, or on TV, or in magazines, your likelihood of your body shape and size isn't being showcased to you. And when you don't see mirror images of yourself in the way that we move in the world, especially the things that we consume in media in particular, what starts to happen, even on a subconscious level, is saying, I must not be beautiful. I don't look like any of those things. I don't look like any of those people, because we've been told that they're beautiful. So if you don't look like that image that you've been told is beautiful, then immediately you tell in your psyche, it's like, well, obviously I'm not beautiful. And so when we don't have real bodies, we don't see real naked people or watch real people having sex, that haven't had all this work and airbrushed and editing and lighting and all the things, we can't change our own beliefs around beauty that allow us to accept ourselves and allow us to accept our own sexuality, our own sexiness. So I recommend going to, a nudist resort, you know, going out to, you know, new, you know, places where people will be naked. If you happen to be, you know, and it's not really, you know, if you happen to go to the gym, depending on your gym, you know, people may be naked in the locker room, but a lot of times because we have this weird thing about naked bodies, people cover themselves up all the time. So even if you go, you know, or while you're on vacation, you go to, you know, you're traveling, go to a topless or naked beach and see all the different bodies who are really comfortable. You know, like lean into that place so that you can create some new imagery for yourself and your subconscious of what is beautiful or sexy, and that your body looks like other people's bodies. That's an important piece. When we don't have it mirrored back to us, we basically internally internalize that there must be something wrong with us because we don't see anybody that looks like us. Okay. All right. So this is a big conversation, much longer than I thought I was going to have. Well, you know, so the last thing, so here's the other piece is that why is it worth doing this work? It's worth doing this work for many reasons. One, it feels awful to not be able to love what you see in the mirror. When you look at the mirror and all you see is all this ugliness, weight, stretch marks, uh, aging, whatever it is, when you look in the mirror and that's what you see, you then internalize and you dim your light, you dim your shine, you dim your joy. You can't have the confidence to walk out into the world. You can't hold space. You can't have a presence because what you're doing is you want to hide, and it's self-loathing. When you're doing self-loathing thought processes, it internally affects you in many ways, physically, emotionally, your ability to have, you know, great orgasms and surrender to your pleasure, not to mention allowing your partner to truly enjoy your beautiful body that they're attracted to. um, you know, it affects all of those things. And I see in, I have, you know, especially in my female clients, you know, who, when, you know, they're worried about what they look like, they're worried that they're fat, they're worrying about all these things that I'm not going to be turned on while I'm supporting them, or, you know, while we're in the dungeon or whatever. And I'm like, you're beautiful, you're sexy, you're here, the sounds you make, the surrendering, all of that stuff is beautiful and incredibly sexy. So it affects their ability to receive, affects their ability to drop in, it affects their ability. So again, we have to heal all those things. I also see it with my penis owner clients as well. You know, it affects their ability to get a hard on, feel good about themselves, to feel sexy. It prevents them from, you know, engaging in sexuality with others because they feel not sexy themselves, and therefore it affects all of their things. And also when you don't have that confidence, that which is what sexiness is, by the way, then it's affecting how you stand up in the world, how you show up in your work, and how you show up in your friendships, and you know, how confident you are in yourself is directly linked to your sex feeling, internal sexiness. And so it's important, because if you want to have the life you want to have, where you have the dream job, the dream partner or partners, the family that you want, the, you know, to have the sex life that you deserve, then you need to heal that body image component. And it's that body image often is intertwined with our self-worth and self-esteem. So, and our self-love. So without those things, life can be really hard and really challenging and really difficult and very lonely, because we also don't usually allow people to get close or in and all the things. Okay. So it may sound like, oh my God, this sounds like a lot of work, but I'm telling you, it's amazing on the other side of that. And, um, you know, and the last funny story before I go, well, it wasn't really funny. So one of my wonderful clients, he's not very tactful. And the way, he's kind of like a little socially awkward, and how he actually, communicates and English is not his first language. So there's a lot of times where he says things and you're like, you did what? But he never comes from a malicious place, and he's so sweet and kind and loving and helpful and all the things, but things that come out of his mouth, sometimes you're like, oh God. So this particular client he loves high energy, high extreme, trying new things. That's his kind of his jam. And over the last, over the last 6 months, because of dealing with my issue, my health issues, my energy's been very low and starting to come back up, but I'm still not quite at the level that he desires and craves, and that I enjoy giving with him. So luckily, I got another Dom working out of my dungeon right now, and she's awesome, and she's very similar to me personality wise and how she doms. I've done some training for her, and they've spent some time together in the past, so there's familiarity. So I basically asked if she could take over doing some doming while I'm basically until I'm like at my max peak performance. And so he hasn't seen me for months and months and months. Okay, the last time he saw me was actually me leaving leaving the group in Costa Rica to come home. Okay, because I got really sick, so I had to come home in February. So I was going to pass him over, to the new Dom, who can, help him and get him his sessions, and, over the next couple months while I'm continuing my recovery process. So I was really excited to see him, and I was like, I really, I've missed him, right? So, but we got to do a like a handover, right? He's my little subby. I have, been working with him for years, and I need to hand him over to the new Dom. And so he sees me, and I give him a giant hug, and a couple days earlier I was feeling really fat and not attractive, and really trying to work through like surrendering to my body and loving my body, and my body's sexy and all the things. So it was just perfect timing. 2 days earlier I was like crying about how no matter what I'm doing, I keep gaining weight and blah blah. And he hugs me, and then he's like, wow, you really gained a lot of weight. And that's it. He said. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I'm ugly, blah, 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 like internally, right? Like deep down internally. But, I manage my shit in the dungeon as I train others to do. So I just looked at him, and I'm like, yes, I have. I've been really sick. And that's it. So I don't know. I mean, most likely it was like, oh, the last time he saw me, I was really skinny and I was sick, and now I've gained weight. And in his mind, it could be like, oh, that's a good thing you've gained weight. Or like but often he only shares kind of parts of the things that are happening in his brain. And so that happened to be, that's what came out. And I had to remind myself, he really is a sweetheart and would never say anything cruel within cruel intention. So I'm sure there's a rest of the sentences that are happening in his brain that he's not sharing with you. So I'm like, shake it off. Shake it off. I collared him, put the leash on, handing the leash to the new Dom, and I said, I made him look at me. He was on his knees and made him look at me, and I'm like, now don't embarrass me. I've trained you well. Be a good boy. And then I handed his leash to the Dom. I'm like, don't break my toy. Have fun. And I laughed. And so that all day long, I was like, oh my God, it really, like, it hit me hard. It hit me like deeply. I'm like, and all of my own insecurities showed up. And then I was like, nope, that's not, he was definitely not coming from malicious. It could just be matter of fact, you've gained weight, which is true. I have gained weight. So, and why can't we say that? Like, why is that a problem that he can just say, yes, you've gained weight? And I'll be like, yes, I have. So in some ways, I was very grateful because he pointed out that, by the emotional reaction that I was feeling about that meant that there was a bunch of still stuff going on internally that I needed to kind of clear and do my work and start really, like, when I'm in the bathroom and I'm at the mirror, to say you're beautiful and you're sexy just as you are, and start doing the stuff to like embrace where my body is today. And it was a beautiful, beautiful reminder. So, which, like I said, I love and adore him. And I always have to remember, I got to put my filtering on how he perceives the world and how he shares and communicates. It's not from a malicious place. And that just really helped me to remember, which is why I wanted to talk about. That's why I brought this topic up, is because it was like, woo! Last week it was a big issue for me that I had to clear. And now I'm back to, yesterday I put on a corset that I had to, let out a little bit. And I put it on and I put some makeup on. And I was like, and had to do some pre-recording stuff. And I was like, I'm really hot. I'm really sexy. Damn. My lovers look at me and none of them are like, they're just like, oh God, you're so gorgeous. My clients, same thing. They think I'm gorgeous in whatever shape I show up in. It doesn't matter. And the other piece of that I do want to talk, I know I keep going, and this is a long topic, a heavy conversation. Anyways, I also, other DOMs. So as I've been training other DOMs, there's plenty of DOMs that don't look anything like you, which is great. Because the nice thing is when a client chooses to come work with you, it's because they're genuinely attracted to who you are, how you move, what kind of things you're into, the way you dress, your curves, your body shape, all of the things. And so it's also a lovely little reminder, as I'm training DOMs and they're like, oh, so-and-so is like tiny and has tattoos and looks like this. And I'm like, I have short, the person's like, I have short hair, and others like, I have long hair, or, everybody looks different, and everybody has a different DOM style. But the nice thing is our clients choose us because they're attracted to us. That's why they choose to come spend time with us. So whatever that attraction is for them, they find it exactly with who you are. So when I look at it from a client perspective, all my clients that come see me because they're incredibly attracted to who I am, how I move, as well as how I look in whatever shape that looks happens to be. And that goes for all my lovers over my life. My lovers are drawn to me. They're attracted to me. They're attracted to me in whatever shape or size. The biggest factor of, I would say my most hot feature is my primal lust and how incredibly horny I am and how orgasmic I am. These, I would say, are my key sex appeal, outside of, all of my, of course, all of my other mad sex skills that I have, because, I'm really good at sex. which is why I'm a sex expert and I teach people how to have sex because I'm really good at it. And help people find how to be, how they can unleash and be like, fuck like a rock star, or embrace their kinks, or whatever it is. So that's what my sex appeal is how sexual I am, how open I am, how free I am, how primal I am. How I've, don't have a lot of sex shame because I've done a lot of healing. That's important to remember. And I've done a lot of work and a lot of healing about sexuality and healing any shame or trauma or all the things, right? Which is what, one of my areas of expertise are. So if you're having sexual shame and trauma, and you also want to be like, ooh, I want my sex appeal that I'm horny and orgasmic and super horny. Great. Come and see me. I'll help you get there. You want to increase your sex skills? I have the best course ever I created. It will help you. You take this course called Sexual Skill Building, the Nuts and Bolts of Sex. You take that course, you do the homework, you will be a rock star in the bedroom. I'm telling you. So reach out, take some courses, reach out to me. I hope some of those exercises, and if you need more, you can reach out to me at GaiaMorissette.com and listen to the outro with all the different other ways that you can interact with me. If you're interested in that sexual skill building course, you can go to education under GaiaMorissette.com. There's a whole section that will take you directly to my extensive library. I have 22 courses, I think, of different areas of human sexuality, relationships, love. All right, till next time, find your joy and figure out how you can look in that mirror, wink at yourself, and be like, I totally do you. Okay? Have a good day. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Well, I hope today's episode inspired you, encouraged you, and of course, made you feel tingly inside. I just want to take a moment to tell you how much I appreciate the time that you spend and how I really deeply appreciate you listening. I do it for you guys, the audience, and I love and adore you guys. So, quick loving reminder, I am not available for naked pictures, getting married, having sex, or having anybody's babies. And when you want to spend more time with me in a professional capacity as your coach, your teacher, your educator, your facilitator, you can reach me at GaiaMorissette.com. That's the gateway to all things Gaia. Now, if you're like, oh, I really wonder what's in the extended version. I also lovingly invite you to follow me on Instagram, which the handle is My Orgasmic Life Podcast, where you can leave feedback and comments. Also, come join me on Facebook at My Orgasmic Life Podcast Facebook group. And I really want to hear from you. I want to know how this show affected you. What did you learn? Was it inspirational? Did you agree? Do you disagree? I want to know, because I'm a little bit of a voyeur. So I want to know how am I affecting you? So please come leave some comments. Now, if you're like, but I don't want everybody to know what I'm thinking, which is okay. Sometimes we need privacy and we need to be anonymous. So you would like that option? We have that. You can email my slutty assistant, Layla, at GaiaMorissette.com. Okay, listeners, until next time, may your life be filled with sexy exploration and orgasmic pleasure. Mwah. Bye-bye.